Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to the Stokastic.com MLB live before lock / strategy show. Call it what you will. Here's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to tell you guys this right now, because if you're coming in for the main slate, I got you. If you want the early plus the main, I got you. I'm going to timestamp this the moment it ends. So if you're watching after the fact and after this game, after the early two, the reason I'm doing this is there's only 2 games. It's not a good early slate. But, people like DFS, so we'll hit on it real quick. The moment I'm done with that, we'll talk about the main slate, and then I will timestamp it once it ends so you can look. Say you're coming in afterwards. You can look down. You can click to where the main slate starts. Just hover over it. You'll see where the break is down below at the bottom of the video player. Click that, and you'll go straight to the main slate. You can skip the early slate if you're watching after it started. But anyway, good morning to all of my friends. Jack, 1, 2, Richie, Michael, Andy, Jameson, Ken. Hey, fellas. Cujo, what's up, boys? We got an interesting 2-game slate. No denying that. And then a 7-game night slate. I'm going to tell you right now, I already did the perfect lineup video with Josh. Highly suggest you check that one out if you haven't done so yet. That'll be up, within the hour. Pitching is tough on the main slate. It's tough. And by tough, I don't mean, boy, we have this embarrassment of riches at the top, and I don't know who to choose. God, this is tough. No, I mean tough as in ugly, brutal. But the cool part is those slates seem to be some of our best performing slates. Early slates with bad pitching, main slates with really rough pitching. The Sims and the tools have really been able to identify those good, positively leveraged spots. So we're going to see what we can do today. Yeah. Rants finally can play a morning slate, and there isn't one like usual. Oh, there is, good sir. We got a two-game early slate with the Rockies and Astros at Coors Field. I'm telling you, we're going to talk about it right now. I'm going to be brief with it. We're not going to spend the bulk of our time on that. We're going to spend most of our time on the 7-game slate. 1, 2, absolutely a degen early slate. Yes, but we should be playing it anyway. Red Skittles, very interesting 2-gamer. See, Skittles gets it. Yeah. Kenny, I was so close on the early slate, finished in 6th place. Still a nice day, man. Congrats. I was second in the 44 for a long time. Up until some late runs started coming in, I finished like 15th or something. But I thought I had a real shot. Yeah, man. Let's get into it. Because this 2-gamer is still there. And listen, I don't know if you've looked, but at least on DraftKings, there are some decent I wouldn't talk about it if we had essentially I wouldn't even bring it up or discuss this slate if we didn't have some decent prize pools. There actually are. There are. So I think it's still worth hitting real quick, and then we can get to the main. But yeah, I think it's still like 15K up top in the DraftKings main. That's not bad for a 2-gamer for MLB on a random Thursday. As a matter of fact, I think that's actually pretty decent. Right? Yeah, it's 20K up top. It's top heavy for sure, but it's still 20K up top. So yeah, there's some decent tournaments for sure. And then the mini max wasn't all that bad either when I saw that earlier. So, all right, we'll make this one brief. If you guys don't mind, as you enter the virtual door here on YouTube, take a single second this fine morning, atone for your sins, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys. It goes a long way. I wouldn't ask you otherwise. Helps us with the algorithm, helps us, stay relevant here on YouTube. Although you guys are the reason we are, just for coming in and watching every day. So, that doesn't go unnoticed. But it's free to hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you're listening or watching after the fact. Show us you exist. I love to see it. I try and read and respond to all of those. Steven, that's right. Celebrate your freedom this week to hit the like button. Yeah, man. In other countries, you might get zapped for doing something like that. All right, so let's get into it. Also, I have a massive 4th of July sale that I'm going to tell you guys about in a minute. I think for many of you who DM me all the time asking about, hey, are there any discounts on Sims Max? Because we very rarely, if ever, discount Sims Max. You're going to like this one, all right? We're going big for 4th of July. Get you guys in, and I think you're going to like it. But anyway, check this out. These are our pitchers today, the top pitchers tool for the early slate. I promise I won't spend much time here, but, some people do care. And I'm playing some lineups in this as well. David Festa, Yuri Perez, Brandon Walter, and Kyle Freeland. Festa's getting wild ownership against Miami. So is Perez. To me, it's kind of crazy that Walter's only getting 44%. And Freeland, I'm not shocked that he has the lowest top 2 pitcher probability, pulling 1% ownership. I haven't looked at exposures. I just had it pulled up, but I didn't look yet. I saw we had Walter up there. I didn't see anything else. I wonder if we're going to try and if the Sims are going to feed us a little bit of Kyle Freeland, or because it's a 7-run total, he's going to get none. But the crazy thing is, he does have 21% leverage, 22% top 2 pitcher. Granted, on a 2-pitcher slate or a 4-pitcher slate, that doesn't mean much. But the Brandon Walter spot to me is super interesting because this guy, he had a cup of coffee, Steven, you would know, with the Red Sox, right? What was that, 2 years ago? And he was not good. This year, in almost 30 innings, he has been good. He's walking absolutely nobody. He's got a K-minus BB rate of 23%, which, again, small sample, but that's fantastic. 3.59 FIP, non-existent barrel rate, 11% swinging strike rate, and a 51% ground ball rate. Now, this is a guy who has always been predominantly ground ball pitcher, which should help him out at Coors Field. Yeah, it's tough because the Rockies have a 5.2 implied total. This guy's got 50 career innings or so at the major league level, 60. So I'm not going to go out here and pretend that he should mow them down. Far be it for me to expect that. And it's 92 degrees at Coors Field. But David Festa is the type of pitcher that you're lucky to get him out of the 5th inning, right? This guy constantly is incapable of getting out of the 5th inning. We see that all the time. And then Yuri Perez against Minnesota. This isn't to say that these guys are bad options, but it's to say that maybe Walter should be up there a little bit higher on a slate like today. He's been very good this season in 5 starts. 1 start was not good against the Angels. Angels are the type of team that can make you look like Cy Young, Grant Holmes the other day, or they can embarrass you with the power. Festa coming off, his best start of the year. He's wildly unpredictable. I have no idea from a pitch count perspective what type of leash they plan on giving this guy. That's the truth, by the way. If he gets into a small jam in the 5th inning with 2 outs and he has 79 pitches, he might just be out. And then Perez, 62% top 2 pitcher. 75% ownership. It kind of just feels like we should be getting a decent amount of Brandon Walter and just pray to the baseball gods that the Rockies continue being terrible at Coors Field. Ideally, that's what I'm looking for here. Where are you guys at? Do you have any interest in any guys from the early slate where you look at them and say, that's the guy I plan on getting the most of? I don't know. Devin says Walter's a solid ground ball pitcher. Exactly. I don't know if you said that before or after I mentioned it, but yes, exactly. Eric asked, on this 2-game slate, let me pull this up for people to see it who are watching live and couldn't find it. Where are you? There you go. On this 2-game slate, is it viable to roster a batter against the pitcher you have? With only 2 games, there's just not many options. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. On a 2-game, and that's a great question, dude. This isn't to say that you should be stacking them against your pitcher, but yeah, if there's a, favorable matchup, definitely. Plus, you see it all too often where a guy gives up a solo shot or something like that. You actually, when we talked about it on the early slate yesterday, it looked like Pepio was going to do us dirty, coughs up a 2-run shot early on, right? And then goes out there, gives us 6 2-run innings with 9 strikeouts. Pepio ended up being fantastic in that game. So pitchers can cough up a run or two, and you'd prefer in this case it's on the long ball. You don't want them dinking and dunking stuff here playing small ball against your pitcher. That's the last thing you want. Yeah. I'm not saying you have to do it. Like, listen, it's possible that a 5-man stack just ends up getting it done today, especially with the Astros, or you know what we could say with Coors Field in general. If a Rocky stack ended up winning, would you be that surprised against the guy who has 60 career innings at the major league level? I certainly wouldn't. But I do like Walter. I also like the Rockies. I haven't looked at our stack exposure. I don't know if anybody's mentioned it here. Keith asked, does pitching just become a casualty because it's a 2-game? It's not that it's a casualty. It's that you have to entertain the idea of doing everything on this slate. Let's say you're maxing the mini max, or you're maxing the 15, right? Or even playing 20 lineups in the 4-seamer in a 20 max. You have to be more than okay with going, oh, wow, I got 50% Walter, but I also have 30% Rocky stacks. Like, that's perfectly fine. And that's the way you should be playing a slate like today. That's the way I play. And all of us play a lot of main slates or these 4 or 5 game early slates. It's like, damn, we've got 50% of a pitcher, but also our second highest owned stack is the team against this guy in lineups, obviously, where we're not playing that pitcher. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that at all. Gabriel, what about rostering a relief pitcher on a 2-gamer? I don't find that to be necessary. You do have 2 teams with sub 4.5 totals. Yeah, pitching's not good, but if you're rostering a relief pitcher, I mean, and obviously you're going in for like the 4K, right? The predictive, you guys, I'll be honest, that's not my strong suit. Looking at all 30 teams and being able to accurately predict which relief pitchers are coming in and which ones could come in for more than an inning. That I'm not going to pretend that that's something that I can give you valuable information on, because it's not something I generally ever pay attention to. Typically, we're never talking about 2-game slates to begin with. If you think you have a great read and you think there's a guy that could come in and throw multiple innings at 4K, fine. But it's tough. Like, number one, you have to actually predict I hate saying game script for MLB, but the score, right, dictates this guy comes into the game, right? You need that first. Then you need him not to be bad, and then you need him to go deep enough. In which case, just play a $5,500 Freelander, 7K Perez. I don't think you have to do that. 1-2 said he took down the Detroit-Minnesota showdown the other day using a relief pitcher. Awesome. I don't play many showdowns for baseball at all. I typically don't play them whatsoever. But I think that you would agree, 1-2, that while it's only the addition of 1 game, showdown to 2-game slate is still markedly different, like way different. Same with showdown to a 2-game NFL slate. It's so much different. So much different. Even though it's just 1 and 2 games, that additional game makes a massive difference. So no, the way I would not be running out relief pitchers. Let's take a look at our exposures here, and then we'll get to the main slate. All right. So first of all, this is the top pitchers tool. We looked at that. Now the top stacks tool before we get to exposures. Houston, 50% top stack probability. Crazy. A lot of ownership, still positively leveraged. Colorado at 22%. I get it. Minnesota at 16%. Miami at 11%. Stack score. Houston, Colorado, Minnesota, Miami. Exactly the way they're laid out in the top stack probability. See, the interesting thing, though, and we've seen this with Houston all series at Coors, is that they've got multiple guys, top guys on the IL. They're actually not that expensive at all. All things considered, right? Like considering where they're hitting and the pitchers they're going up against, it's a pretty easy team to get to. So let's see. Pitcher exposure. A lot of Walter and Festa. 45% Perez. Still 20% Kyle Freeland. Not shocking. I'm not surprised, though, that we're getting, like, if you look at where the most leverage we're getting is, we're getting a ton of positive leverage on Brandon Walter and Coors, and I'm not going to fight that. Morning, Eric. I'm not going to fight that. Why would I? What's the point? And then Festa and Perez, we're getting exposure to them for sure, but we're under the field. So they could still have a good game, and we have plenty of lineups. You know, we're not dead if Festa or Perez ends up being optimal or even that pairing. But we would like a big game from Walter, or at least a strong enough game, because he is the most expensive pitcher. And we're getting the most of him. You know, more than 75% of our lineups. So to me, that's significant. That's the big flag we're planning on this slate is 78% Walter. Also, say what you want. 20% Kyle Freeland is still, 19% above the field. And on a 2-game slate, I know you guys will agree with me here because you've watched this show and you all are pretty now well informed on how volatile a sport and how much variance there is in baseball, but also how getting leverage in some of these spots and understanding the probabilities here and the simmed ROI within our tools, how important that is, especially on some of these small slates. If Freeland is really going to be 1% owned on a slate where Walter, Festa, and Perez, if they were on a main slate, they'd be marginally owned at best at their price points. 1% owned Freeland really suggests that we should be at least getting some of him, even if it's a little bit. So, yeah. 1-2. Am I the only one who thinks Festa is ass? I mean, outside of DFS, he's not very good. But look, dude, this guy has been up and down from AAA how many times now in the past couple of years? I think it's pretty well known that he's no, up-and-comer. But he can get a decent amount of strikeouts. If he's not getting into trouble, he's fine. On a 2-game slate, though, our hands are kind of tied. Stack exposure. Colorado. Wait, actually, hold on. Let me filter it this way. Oh, and first, let me tell you about our sale. You guys, I think you're going to like this for 4th of July. It's only good through tomorrow. And what better way to play it? Because guess what? You got an early slate. You got a main slate. You got a night slate. Tomorrow, 4th of July, you have games spread out throughout the entirety of the day. Early slate, 5 games. Main slate, 9 games. Night slate as well for those late night games. And then all of Saturday, Sunday. Baseball is the perfect sport to take advantage of for DFS tools. Here we go, baby. There it is. I told you we never do this. 50% off any weekly or monthly package. Any weekly or monthly package. That includes Sims Max. That includes Core. That includes whatever you want for weekly or monthly. We never do this. And we very, very rarely run these type of sales. Use the link in the description. This is all you have to do. Okay? Use the link in the description. The one where it says, actually, see where it says Join Stokastic MLB? You'll see it right there with the 2 baseballs next to it. Join Stokastic MLB. Click that. Use promo code USA at checkout, and you are getting 50% off any weekly or monthly package you want. That's it. So if you've been waiting, if you've been looking to get in on the Sims, I get tons of questions. Hey, do you have a code for Max? Usually it's just Core. This is 50% off Max, 50% off Core. If you wanted to do the week, if you wanted to do the month, makes no difference. This code with that link in the description is good for any single one that you want. And that's it, baby. So check it out. 50% off any weekly or monthly package. It's the biggest sale we've run in a very long time. We never run them for Max. Use code USA after you click that link that says Join Stokastic MLB in the description, and you are in. Also, join the Discord. Take advantage of all of these tools and join. Well, look at this, man. This is just a small sample of what the Stokastic avatars have been able to do this year. Just an unbelievable run for MLB and so many other sports. But MLB, we've been absolutely crushing, particularly in the early. So USA, 50% off any weekly or monthly. Sims, Max, Core, whatever you want. Benny, I am. I'm covering the featured slate and I'm doing the 2-gamer. So here we go. Miami, Minnesota, Colorado, Houston. This looks like we are fading the 5-man Houstons, going heavy Houston. Wait, hold on. Are we just getting to less Houston altogether? A lot of Houston 3-mans. Houston 3-mans, Minnesota 4-man stacks, and a lot of Miami, Minnesota. I actually love the Miami 5-man on today's. No one's going to want to go there. No one's going to want to go there. So that's what we've got. Filter through our exposures real quick, and then we'll move on to the main slate. Buxton, Castro, Sanchez, a lot of Miami and Minnesota. Look, if you're looking for leverage on a slate like this, you guys are you fully understand why this would be the case, right? Royce Lewis, Isaac Paredes, both of them 30%. Castro, Xavier Edwards, Dubon, Christian Walker's our highest exposed first base. So there's your Houston. Yanier Diaz also highest exposed catcher. Hunter Goodman. So everything's mixed in, but it does appear that we are getting overweight to the teams that the field is getting underweight on. So there we go. All right, let's go ahead and run the sims for the main slate. I mentioned to you guys now, if you're watching, I'm going to timestamp this the moment it's over. Right? I'll timestamp this the moment it's over so that we are able to just jump in whenever you guys want. And then we'll be good. Hold on a second. As this runs. All right, we got the contest generator run. Wait till you see pitching. For those of you guys who haven't looked yet, you are going to be they're going to be underwhelmed. But these are actually my favorite types of slates, where nobody likes the pitching, and everybody's kind of just looking at it like this is gross, because those are where we find those fantastic angles, and that's where we can grab edges that the field's not getting to. I'm going to explain why Chris Bassett should be owned. And a lot of it is because so many of these other guys should not be owned, and they still are. It is a bad slate, but it's a good slate. It's a good slate in the sense that everyone has to play the same pitchers. Everyone has the same salaries to choose from. As 1-2 said, Eric, pitching is just ass. Yeah, it's bad. All right, so here we go. Also, Chris Bassett at home has been very good. In 2.5 years with Toronto, his K rate's like 4.5% higher than it is on the road. So that's solid to me. And the Yankees actually have the 6th highest K rate against righties. I do not, by any stretch, love a guy like Chris Bassett, but it's a product of the slate. That's what we're dealing with here. You know? Love a guy like Chris Bassett. We don't really have many options. So I'm going to pull up the top pitchers tool. I'm going to show you what we have to work with. Some of these would be, Dustin May against the White Sox, Brandon Pfaadt against the Giants. Robbie Ray is 10K, but do we love 10K Robbie Ray against an Arizona team that strikes out at the second lowest clip against lefties and actually hits them quite well, top 10 or 12 in pretty much every relevant category against southpaws? I don't love it. You can feed your way down the list. Seth Lugo, not a bad play against Seattle, but he's 8,300. The other one is a cheap Logan Evans, but you're talking about like a 17% strikeout rate there against a team that doesn't strike out and puts the ball in play. I'm fine going to a George Kirby or a Logan Gilbert against Kansas City, especially given how cheap George Kirby was the other day. Barely more expensive than Logan Evans. And we know that when things are going well for George Kirby, he's a really good pitcher. But I don't know how much confidence you have in a Logan Evans today. Clark Schmidt's almost 9K now. Quintana's strikeout stuff is absolutely gone. Not that he ever had much of it. Soriano's got this matchup against Atlanta. Ideally, we like Soriano going up against very heavy right-handed teams. I wish he could pitch against his own team. If Soriano could go up against the Angels, he might be throwing complete game shutouts every single time with the amount of righties they run out there. Bryce Elder's got the Angels today. He's been despicably bad. Do we want to get the Bryce Elder? Maybe. I don't think it's insane. Oh, is it Woo now? Let me see. Let me see if they changed it. Earlier in the day it was Logan Evans. They always change this shit. Let me check. Yep, you're right. Good call, fellas. Appreciate that. I spent so much time on the early slate that I did. All right, so it is okay. So it's Woo now. Earlier in the day, it was TBD, and it looked like it was going to be Logan Evans. But knowing now that it's Brian Woo, unfortunately, we don't have that in the projections yet, but I don't think it matters. I think Brian Woo is unquestionably going to be our best pitcher on the slate. So appreciate that call out. With that change now, big difference. I don't see how Brian Woo wouldn't be the best overall pitching option on this slate. Right? Ahead of Robbie Ray for sure. You're going to have a very low total for this Kansas City team. With Brian Woo starting, that makes a big difference. The same way we were okay playing Logan Gilbert, the same way we were okay playing George Kirby. See, I'll tell you what, this is very odd. DraftKings Sportsbook still has Logan Evans. MLB has Woo. Let me get to the bottom of this. FanDuel has Logan Evans. So hold on a second. Pump the brakes, friends. Let's see what's going on here. Logan Evans is starting. I believe in this case, MLB's probable, MLB.com's probable is actually wrong here. Everyone's getting pushed back a day in the rotation. So I retract my thank you to you guys. Yeah, it looks like Logan Evans. As a matter of fact, I now admonish you for wasting my time. I'm kidding. But no, it looks like, yeah, I mean, look, you have Mariners beat writers out here that are saying it's also Logan Evans. So there you go. It is Logan Evans. It is not Brian Woo. That takes one more guy. Yep, here you go, another one from Tim Booth. Rest of the rotation will move back a day. Brian Woo starts Friday on 4th of July. All good, fellas. I can understand why you would have thought that. It confused me as well. So what I'm seeing, it appears that certain spots just haven't accounted for the move back. The sports books, though, here, you know how I know? You want to know how it makes sense that it's Logan Evans and not Brian Woo? If it were Brian Woo, the implied total for the Kansas City Royals would be even lower than it is. Right? It'd probably be like 3-5. So, yeah. Anyway, if anything changes throughout the day and we get more information that, it is actually going to be Brian Woo, but I've now had two reliable beat writers on Twitter that have said that it's going to be Logan Evans. And also the fact that the sports books, you want to know, here's the easiest way. Does Logan Evans have props up? While we look for these, just to break this down, I understand that Chris Bassitt probably doesn't excite many people, but I do think he makes a lot of sense in this spot because from like, if you look at guys who has the highest ceiling on a slate like tonight, I think Bassett's kind of up there. Not to say he's Robbie Ray, but he has good strikeout stuff. He's striking out 26.5% of batters at home this year, over a 24% K rate at home since he joined Toronto. So these are all actually really favorable spots for Chris Bassitt. The matchup is unenviable, right, against a power-laden Yankees team, but the Rogers Center is better than Yankee Stadium, right? You don't have to worry about any like oppressive heat that we get in July in these other outside parks. It actually does seem to me like this is a decent enough spot for Bassitt. When I ran the Sims earlier, we were getting to a lot of him as well. So yeah, I think Bassitt actually makes sense. Let's see. Are there Logan Evans strikeout props? Yep. If the books have props up for him, I'd be shocked if it was anybody else. What's Bassett's K prop? 5.5, potentially juiced to the over? Where are you? 5.5 juiced to the over. There you go. Look at that. And then who else? Like Brandon Pfaadt's got to be 4.5. Yep. What other guy? Because this stuff matters more than anything else. Us being able to identify what's Bryce Elder against this K heavy Angels team. Lugo's probably 4.5 at 8,300. That's why I can almost guarantee we're going to get a lot more Bassitt than Lugo. The props are going to look identical. Actually, no. Bassett's are going to look better than Lugo's. 5.5 on Lugo with less juice to the over, but very similar to Chris Bassitt there. Who else did I mention? Who else are we talking about? Oh, Elder. Where's he at? 4.5. So yeah, there's really nobody. Look, if we sort by time from soonest to latest and look at like who stands out the most. All right, let's get rid of 5.5 on Yuri Perez, by the way. And look at these 7:00 games. Bassitt at 5.5, Schmidt at 4.5, Peterson at 4.5, Quintana 3.5, 4.5, Elder 4.5, Soriano 3.5, Cade Horton, Robbie Ray 5.5, Brandon Pfaadt 4.5, Lugo 5.5, May 4.5, Evans 3.5, and Aaron Savali 3.5. I think by default we have to get to some Dustin May because it's just an outright bad team. Lowest implied total on the slate, Chicago White Sox. But let's not sugarcoat it, right? Dustin May isn't good. He's not good. 20.8% K rate. He's fine. What helps is the White Sox are so bad. The Dodgers are minus 300 money line favorites at home. You know, those are the type of things that obviously stand out. For sure. So I just think by default, you're going to get to some Dustin May. By default, Chris Bassitt, because of that K rate that he has. You know, even though the Yankees have a 4.8 total, it's come down a little bit. It was 5 earlier in the day. Eric, White Sox almost beat 50-year-old Kershaw. I know, it was like a 5-4 game. But as Rance just said, Rance, I think that is the perfect way to put it, my friend. I don't think you could have put it any more perfectly than that. May can survive that matchup. Yep. Rance isn't saying that May is going to thrive in that matchup. He's not saying even that he's particularly good. What he's saying is on a 7-game slate, Dustin May can survive that matchup. And that's really all we're looking for in that spot. That's all we're really looking for. Can he survive? And I think he can. I think Bassitt can survive too, but with Bassett, there's a higher likelihood that he gets blown up. I think there's a bigger range of outcomes, wider range of outcomes with Bassett. That he gets blown up, or he goes out there and he just has a really good game, right? I could see him going out there and just having a really good game, and you're talking like 7-8 strikeouts or something like that, where I don't see that on the board for many of these other guys. Lugo looks okay. I don't love Peterson at 8,500 in that spot against Milwaukee. But given the rest of the slate, he's fine. Logan Evans, I would just rather go to some of these 7K guys. I think I might even prefer Brandon Pfaadt at 6,700 against San Francisco. Soriano, this is not a spot that I love. Man, he's coming off a game where he got absolutely shelled by Washington. Soriano much better against righty-heavy lineups. You're looking at, 5 lefties in this lineup. Granted, most of the best bats in this lineup are righties. That's not fair. I mean, you have Matt Olson, and Matt Olson. So, yeah, that is fair to say. This Atlanta lineup is not what it used to be, though, is it? Nevertheless, they have a 5.2 run implied total. It does feel like Soriano never gets the respect he deserves from like a Vegas standpoint, doesn't it? Excuse me. I think Soriano doesn't get a ton of respect, but also I'm not sure how much I love him in this spot either. No real intention to get to Aaron Savali here against the Dodgers. Guy can cough up power. You can't really mitigate that with his strikeout stuff. Eric, Soriano's a ground ball. Yeah, I mean, Soriano is the foremost ground ball pitcher in the league. Right? The only other two, like the 3 guys, when you think about extreme ground ballers right now, Soriano, Framber Valdez, Andre Palante. But Framber's the only one that can go out there and rack up double-digit strikeouts, right? I know Soriano did once in his strikeouts. He had like 27 over a 3-game stretch. Clearly an outlier, though. So let's look at our exposures. For the main slate, Chris Bassett up top. And yes, it's going to be gross, but Bryce Elder, we're getting a lot of him too. I had a feeling we would. Bryce Elder's been bad. As a matter of fact, Bryce Elder is bad. But Brandon Pfaadt's not very good. Excuse me. Dustin May's okay. We're getting 21% of him. Robbie Ray, 20%. I don't know about you guys. I'm just not enamored with paying $10K for Robbie Ray today. Especially when we look at this and you're like, all right, well, there's what? All of these teams with pretty high totals. I'll tell you what stands out to me more than anything right now. The fact, not the Dodgers with a high total, not even Atlanta with a high total in Atlanta. That tracks. That makes some sense. 87 degrees there. I get it. What stands out more to me than anything else is actually the fact that the Angels only have a 4.5 run implied total against Bryce Elder. I think that's pretty low, right? I actually think that's pretty low. For how bad Elder's been, that says more to me than a lot of other things here. And you're also talking about an Angels team that, while they unquestionably have some pop, and we know that they can hit righties for power, they will also strike out in an alarming clip. Only the Rockies have a higher strikeout rate versus righties than the Angels. Now, the Angels' 171 ISO is top 10 in the league. It's 9th. But they have a sub 100 WRC plus. That's bottom 6 in the league. So this is one of those kind of give and take matchups. Angels are one of the more feast or famine offenses in the league. Bottom 5 WRC plus against righties as well. They strike out a lot. And you look at Bryce Elder. This isn't the same as Grant Holmes, who we know you're like, oh my God, this guy just mows down right-handed bats, right? Because he does. We said that on the show. We remember that deep dive we did into Grant Holmes 2 days ago? That paid off quite well for us, huh? We weren't paying him all that much attention because you had Yamamoto up top and you had DeGrom up top, and he was just kind of on an island there. And then the more you dig into it, you're like, geez, dude, this guy against like a 7 or 8 righty lineup for the Angels, whatever it was, really stands out. Bryce Elder doesn't stand out in that way. However, for his career, his K splits against righties and lefties, 22.2% against righties, 15.2% against lefties. 3.5 xFIP against righties, 5 xFIP against lefties. 56% ground ball rate against righties, 44% against lefties. So there is still something to be said about Bryce Elder being, for his career, right, which is a much better sample size than the few innings he's pitched in 2025. You're talking about 1,500 batters faced, 740 and 740 lefties and righties. That's a large enough sample to extract some type of information from. But Devin Scott, that's exactly what I'm saying, brother. Angels, it's either Ks or home runs. Yo, if there were ever a time where I wish this was the 2-game slate, just play 3 Angels against Bryce Elder. Hope all of them homer and he strikes out 9. Ken, yeah, the Angels are volatile. A lot of teams, the Phillies are like that too. Phillies are a power happy team that when the bats aren't, connecting, you could go out there as Bryce Elder and rock them. Or like Bryce Elder faced them 5 days ago, finished with minus 18 DraftKings points or whatever it was, So, yeah, man, that's what we're working with here. And I think these exposures make a lot of sense. Bassett, Elder, Brandon Pfaadt, Dustin May. The guys we're getting the least of are Schmidt, Savali, Evans, Horton. A lot less Evans than the field. Where are we most positively leveraged? And for those of you guys that jumped in late, I mentioned it during the early slate. I know some people just jumped in for the main slate. Our 4th of July sale is active. It's the best sale for DFS that we've done since I remember. Honestly, I think it's probably the best sale since like the start of football season last year. If you want 50% off on literally any DFS package, weekly or monthly, any weekly or monthly, right? That is Sims Max. That is Sims All Access. That is Core Sims. Any sport, week, month, doesn't matter. There are 2 things you have to do, and this is it. Click the link in the description that says join Stokastic MLB. Select any weekly or monthly package you want and use the promo code USA at checkout. And that's going to immediately take 50% off any package. Massive discount for weekly or monthly. We never discount Max. We never discount All Access. We usually discount Core. A great package, but we usually discount Core because the other ones have too much value to discount at this type of rate. So here we go. 50% off monthly or weekly, literally whatever you want. Even if you're on the fence, pop in there with the link, check them out. Be like, oh, that looks good. I'll take 50% off that. Click that link down there. Use the code USA. You've got 50% off any weekly or monthly package. It's only good through tomorrow. And given the multiple slates we have today and tomorrow, plus the weekend, no better time to jump in and access these tools. And this is just a small snapshot of what these stochastic avatars have done this season. Really over the last 3 weeks are all of these screenshots that we've pulled. Monster wins, rocking the avatar, using the tools, and coming away with the dub. I'd love to see you guys over there. Jump in the Discord, say what's up, and use that code USA with the link down there when you check out. 50% off any subscription for week or month We very rarely do this, very rarely. And the next time we do probably won't be for months, and the MLB season will be long over. All right. So are there any other pitchers that you guys see that stand out as I prefer to get more than the Sims are giving me right now? To me, I understand the gross element of Bryce Elder exposure. But if the argument is like, well, I think we should be getting instead to more Aaron Savali, I don't think I can agree with you on that. Or I want more Cade Horton. Give me more $8,900 Clark Schmidt against a Toronto team that just refuses to strike out. Right? That's even more difficult for me. We're over the field on Bassett. We're over the field on Elder. We're over the field on Brandon Pfaadt. We're with the field on May. We're slightly under on Robbie Ray, and we're under on Seth Lugo. I think what probably everyone realizes right now, just looking at this, if you look at the ownership in the pool when we ran the contest generator, right, and then ran these Sims, it's a 7-game slate, but there aren't a lot of pitchers getting a lot of ownership. Bassett at 32%, that's not that much. Ray, 26. Lugo, 26. May, 20. Brandon Pfaadt, 18. Elder, 18. Peterson, 17. Even Evans and Horton are in the double digits. Everything is spread out. So I don't think there are necessarily wrong answers here. But I do think others are more right than they are wrong. And it's still early in the day. We'll update these projections and Sims throughout the day. Maybe things change. As totals change, as game lines change, props change, all of that stuff, that'll make a difference. But Elder at 6,500, just knowing that he can go out there and punch out, 25% of batters against a high K Angels team, to me, that is kind of what moves the needle, as gross as it feels. At $6,500, 4.5 strikeout prop with juice to the over. It's a necessary evil in some of these spots. Same thing with Bassett. 5.5 K prop. Really, it's the best on the slate, along with Robbie Ray. How about our stacks? Who are we picking on the most today? Let's see. Wow. Picking on Logan Evans. We're getting to a good amount of Atlanta. I'm looking at 25.3% Atlanta there across 3, 4, and 5-man stacks. Talking around 14% Cleveland against Horton. San Francisco against Brandon Pfaadt. If we go in the lineups and go to exposure stacks, caps, we can see all of our stack exposure, combined exposure. Kansas City and Atlanta occupying a lot of our exposure. San Francisco and Cleveland. Yankees against Bassett, 13%. Perfectly fine with that. 10% Dodgers. We're not getting to really any Milwaukee against Peterson. No Arizona stacks against Robbie Ray. No Toronto against Clark Schmidt. Pretty much no Angels against Bryce Elder. That surprises me. If there were one spot on this entire slate that I would like to boost, it would be the Angels. And we're going to do it right now. Let us boost the Angels here. We're going to stack boost the Angels. We're not going to give them anything crazy. Let's give them a 15% boost. And now we'll see not only what happens to our Angels stacks, but let's see what happens to our Bryce Elder exposure. Do we get him down a little bit? Do we get the Angels up? Well, let's see Bryce Elder first. We're looking at, oh man, the fact that we still have 47% suggests that 15% boost is not going to bring the Angels up much at all. It's not. So the tool's really not loving the Angels here. That gets us to only 6% Angels. Interesting. Very interesting. And if we're looking at individual spots here, a ton of Ohtani and Ronald Acuna. A ton. Some Aaron Judge as well. A ton of Bobby Witt against Logan Evans. 22% Ramirez, 19% Michael Garcia, 25% Tyler Fitzgerald, Jonathan India, 23%. So I tell you what, very spread out, but at the top, Bobby Witt, Ohtani, and Acuna are our three top guys. Eric, is Kansas City chalk? There's no way. There's no way. They are not chalk, but they're positively leveraged. We have them middle of the road in stack score. I could see this changing throughout the day, by the way. I think we're going to end up getting less Kansas City. I just have a feeling that's going to happen. Here's your top stack probabilities in the top stack tool. Here you go. Dodgers, Atlanta, Yankees. Dodgers way up there. But if you look at this, look at Mets to the Braves. That's 7 teams between, let's say, 7 and 10% top stack. Top value, White Sox by a mile, but still, that's tough. Although Dustin May isn't great. Kansas City, number 2. Giants, number 3. Best leverage spots are the White Sox. Are we getting any White Sox? Not really. So that's what we've got. Anyway, hey, guys, go enjoy this early slate. If you tuned in late for the main slate, appreciate you. Make sure to watch Live Before Lock tonight for this main slate. And do not forget, you only have till tomorrow if you want to jump in on our 4th of July sale. Code USA by using that first link in the description, 50% off any weekly or monthly package. Monster sale. That includes all access. That includes Sims, that are core, that includes Max, everything. We got 50% off for any DFS package for the week or month. Yeah, man. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Get in on the tool. Start winning some money. And I'll see you back here tomorrow for 4th of July, breaking down the 5-game early slate. We'll have some fun with that one for sure. Good luck, guys. I'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.